Honorable Sir John Chipman, Chief Executive of the IISS, Her Excellency Maria Ángela Holguín, Minister of Foreign Affairs for Colombia, His Excellency Juan Carlos Pinzón, Minister of Defense for Colombia, distinguished members of the International Institute for Strategic Studies, the Director of the Colombian Police, the delegation that is here with me, and other distinguished delegates. In the name of the people and government of Panama, I would like to extend a brotherly salute to the delegates from the Colombian government and all the other countries that have met here at the first Trans-Pacific Summit in order to discuss some of the issues that are most important to the future of our nations. I would like to very specially thank President Juan Manuel Santos, the Minister of Defense Juan Carlos Pinzón, the Chancellor Maria Ángela Holguín, and the International Institute for Strategic Studies for having invited me to participate as an orator at this historic summit, as well as for the hospitality extended to our delegations. I would like to congratulate you for advancing this initiative in the interest of strengthening relations between the governments and the businesses on either side of the Pacific, incorporating representatives from the private sector, the academic sector, and other experts with a strategic and innovative perspective. I am certain that the results of this Cartagena dialogue will allow us to make progress in the direction of the well-being of our peoples by promoting commercial relations, investment, and strengthening cooperation in each of the different fields. I am here representing a government that has a public investment of some $20 trillion that will be invested in improving the quality of life of all the Panamanians so that economic growth that Panama is experiencing will become human development that is sustainable for all the people of Panama. I preside over a government that is committed to transparency, accountability, strengthening democratic institutions, and respecting human rights, that has returned our country to a foreign policy of dialogue that is derived from our geographic position and that facilitates understanding for social peace as well as the unity of all peoples. I am part of a new generation of political leaders in Panama and the region that are fighting to change politics from a business to something that serves society. We are bringing in legal systems and judicial systems to ensure that our country's resources are focused on addressing the issues that affect our citizens. A few days ago, in a historical sentence, a young delegate, 25 years old, that is part of our political movement, was exercising justice for the Panamanian state and condemned the former president of the Supreme Court to 5 years in jail, sending a clear message that this is a generation committed to transparency, strengthening the rule of law, the separation of powers, and especially a public policy that addresses all its efforts to the issues that affect citizens. With that same vision, a country in dialogue, a unified country, we have prepared to be hosts to the 7th Summit of the Americas from the 7th to the 11th of coming April. We expect the highest participation from each of the countries that will lead us to a new stage in hemispheric relations based on respect for different forms of government and addressing the common problems that affect our people. Everything seems to indicate that as part of the summit, whose central topic is prosperity with equality, the soon-to-come Summit of the Americas will be a historic meeting between the governments of Cuba and America, which will be very important for our region. Panama is a region that loves peace and democracy. And for more than 500 years, it has been a meeting point for civilizations and a point along the path of commerce. We seek to be an interoceanic canal, and we are expanding this canal, which we hope to finish in April of 2016. Through this canal, a large amount of the goods coming from Asia to the eastern coast of the United States pass. We have a multimodal logistical service platform as well as a financial center and a flight hub, which offers connections to more than 60 cities throughout the Americas and 4 European countries. In addition, with public infrastructure projects that are underway for the expansion of the international airport, as well as the competitive advantages offered by the Columbus Free Zone and our service economy, Panama continues to consolidate itself as a meeting point and source of more than 100 multinational offices. The Free Trade Zone operates as the commercial arm of Asia and Latin America, and we are investing more billions of dollars in renewing this city in the next years in order to develop a touristic cruise route called South Caribbean that will connect Colón with Cartagena and probably also Curaçao, Aruba, and other touristic destinations in the region. Having said all that, and as a result of our geographic position in the center of the Western Hemisphere, Panama is a natural bridge for the commerce between the nations of the American continent and those of the Asia Pacific. All of this connectivity makes Panama a passenger hub as well as a cargo and an energy hub, playing a central role in facilitating global commerce. And for over a decade, our country has enjoyed a sustained growth that in the next 5 years will be between 6 and 7% per annum. At the regional level, we can see that in Latin America, there's also much to be hopeful about, with good economic growth among the countries that are part of the Pacific Basin. We belong to a region in which peace currently prevails, and this has allowed us to achieve great results in economic and social terms. Currently, as Vice President and Minister of Foreign Affairs from Panama, I was able to witness the creation of the Pacific Alliance. Last night, I met with the former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Peru, and I remember how this initiative was born. And I can see that today, by initiative of the Colombian Minister of Defense, we have made progress towards a forum as important as this one, where we are discussing security, cooperation, commerce, and economy, which undoubtedly sends the message that we are on the right path. Today, as President of the Republic, I am pleased to see that this alliance has gone beyond being a commercial forum between countries that share an ocean and has instead become an effective mechanism for integrating cooperation between countries that share democratic values as well as political stability, and we are in favor of free commerce and the movement of goods, services, and people. Despite the fact that Panama is not a member of this alliance, we are currently undergoing a process of incorporation, for which our ministers of commerce, foreign affairs, as well as finance are doing the proper studies in order to review that we can indeed take on these international commitments. We have made important progress, such as concluding the FTAs with Mexico and Colombia, which are requisites for being a member of the alliance. However, being consistent with our foreign affairs, the President of the Republic of Panama would like to celebrate those achievements achieved by the Pacific Alliance in the 3 years since its creation. We shall continue to support it to the best extent of our abilities, all the processes that will allow the people of the Americas to come together, supporting interregional relationships with Asian countries and other commercial partners. Regardless of the forums or organizations that our respective governments may be a part of, what we must never forget is why public servants exist. We are here to serve our citizens with the best of our knowledge in order to bring better days to our people. If we can maintain this vision, I am certain that the future of the Pacific Alliance and this first Trans-Pacific Summit will be very promising. We are on the right path in order to open space for a new era of collaboration between two regions of the world that share sustained economic growth and whose economies can find lots of correspondences. The closeness of the economies of Latin American countries and Asia Pacific countries presents large opportunities for creating prosperity with equality, promoting investment and cooperation centered on exchanging information and best practices. Proof of this are the great investments of China in countries of this region in infrastructure and tourism, as well as their participation of their companies in construction and public works. In the specific case of Panama, it's worth mentioning that besides being the second largest user of the Panama Canal, the important relationship between China and Panama is one of the main motors of the retail industry in Panama. The strengthening of vocational training with technical assistance from the government of Singapore through the construction of a technical institute in Panama for over 10,000 students, that is one result. The expansion project in Panama of the PCA firm, a member of the Singapore port, which will participate with more than $500 million. Also, the Korean technology in our hospitals, the investment of Korean companies with more than $1 billion in the energy and mining sectors, the expansion of the water processing plant, and the works involved in the Bay of the city of Panama, which we shall undertake this year with financing and technical support from Japan, as well as the great experience that Japanese companies have in terms of massive transport systems and the role they will play in making the first monorail in Central America in our country that will cross the Panama Canal, which will connect the city of Panama, involving more than $200 million of investment. These are examples of economic cooperation between companies from the Asia Pacific and our country that, without a doubt, will allow this technology to change the quality of life of our citizens. I would also like to point out the presence of students from several Asian countries in our universities. We expect this to increase with these new agreements. We hope to attract these sorts of students to our universities in Latin America, much like we hope to send students from our region to Asian universities. As I highlighted earlier, Latin America and most of the countries of the Pacific Basin in particular are undergoing a particular period of economic growth as a result of a continent that enjoys peace. In this sense, as the peace dialogues in Havana continue to progress, we can see that Colombia will become a model country for the international community in the negotiated solution of armed conflicts. I would like right here to congratulate President Santos, Minister Pinzon, and the Minister Holguin for the courage they have shown in leading Colombia to this dialogue, understanding the challenges, but understanding that the goal at the end is peace in their country, and that despite all the obstacles, peace is a noble objective. It's about preserving the physical integrity of the men and women that are part of the armed forces of this country that have fought for democracy with so much courage, and also to achieve social peace throughout Colombia.
All countries in the Americas can take this step forward to human development and reach our full potential in our relationships with countries of Asia and other commercial partners. We need to go further beyond preserving peace in our hemisphere. Although great efforts have been made to eradicate poverty, the countries of Latin America in the last decade, we need to continue working against and fighting against inequality to guarantee employment and guaranteeing access of the vulnerable populations to the basic services. dignified households and a high quality education that will allow our citizens to be a part of our countries and have a strong presence of the state. This is the main solution to the possible conflicts that we have and that we may face in the future. And this is how we will be able to consolidate social peace and reduce the level of insecurity in our countries, avoiding that local delinquent groups that are associated to international criminal groups continue gaining ground in these marginal groups and neighborhoods where the presence of the state is little or none. In order to reach these objectives and strengthen the presence of the state, it's important to have strong institutions. Once I was the president of Panama, I designated in certain agencies of security that there would be officers, and in 4 of these I designated as the chief of security retired officers, and this is how these 11 agencies that were integrated and coordinated among each other are an important pillar of the democratic stability of our country because they have this responsibility. And I trust these officers completely, and I back them completely to be able to reach the objectives of fighting organized crime and strengthening the democratic system. A clear message in this dialogue that I would like to leave you with. We cannot allow that political leaders allow officers that have devoted a full life of service to their countries of 20, 30 years, risking their lives for the security of their country, depend on the coming and going on shifts that are political. We need to ensure that these strong security institutions and this spirit of fulfilling the mission that they have been giving, that they can guarantee the peace in our countries. And although politics may change, it's important to have this continuity in the institutions of security of our countries and ensuring that at no moment in time these foundations of security be contaminated by organized crime and have zero tolerance when this occurs. I believe, and this is something I share with pride, because Panama and Colombia have a very special relationship, that one of the main legacies that the Plan Colombia left us was strengthening security in the officers that have been the main players in this process of transformation that this brother country has been undergoing over the last 15 years. The police of Colombia and the intelligence service of Colombia, the professionalism of their men and women. There is no doubt, and regardless of the resources that were invested, this great legacy is this institute, the National Police, that today there is no doubt that they are protecting social peace and democracy in our brother country of Colombia. And right now I would like to acknowledge the directors, the men who have been able to lead this moment, the National Police of Colombia, that have made a large part of the progress that we have seen in Colombia possible. Jose Herrano, General Oscar Naranjo, and the general who is currently present, the director, Rodolfo Palomino. For them, I would like to request a great applause. Because directed by Santos and Minister Pinzon and the civil authorities that have been chosen democratically by the people of Colombia, they have been able to fulfill their mission, and they are very close working with security through these dialogues to take Colombia to the conclusion of this conflict and reaching peace in this beautiful country. I would also like to thank the role that the Police of Colombia has played in strengthening peace in my country. And I would like to share an anecdote with you. 6 years ago, when I became the vice president of my country, I was coordinating with Colombia and its intelligence some important operations to displace irregular groups that had a permanent presence in our countries. More than 30 kilometers within Panama's borders, there was a permanent presence there, and they would coordinate drug trafficking there and kidnappings. They were threatening our population, and I saw how the efforts of this cooperation between Panama and Colombia, the DIPOL, and our border police began to progress. And for me, the great conclusion of this great effort that was made was being able now, as the President of the Republic, the 25th of December, Christmas, to be able to fly with my wife and children towards the border of Colombia and be able to be there at that limit point of both countries, an area that previously was impossible to visit, to be able to enjoy a Christmas lunch in a completely safe area in a base that is shared between Colombia and Panama called the Union, to share this lunch between members of Panama and Colombia. When I was going through the Darien jungle, beautiful jungle, I thought of the great effort, how many men and women had to devote their time, resources, risk their lives for this lunch to be possible, and that the president of a country could fly with their family to an area that previously was not even visited by our security forces. Panama and Colombia are two brother nations with strong ties of friendship that maintain an excellent diplomatic relationships and excellent cooperation in priority issues such as security. The electrical interconnection project between both countries that we established and launched with President Santos when I became the president of Panama. Thanks to this cooperation and the coordinated effort of our security forces of Panama and Colombia, today we can say that both governments are present and have complete and total control of our border region. Over the last 5 years, Panama has taken more than 50,000 Colombian citizens that have received these citizens that have decided to get set up in Panama and become part of the economic growth and social development of our country in one way or another. Today we have daily flights from Panama to more than 10 cities of Colombia: Bogotá, Barranquilla, Cartagena, Cali, Cúcuta, Leticia, Medellín, Pereira, San Andrés, and Santa Marta. Many Colombian companies invest in Panama. Professionals of Colombia move to Panama, and we, as a country of convergence, of dialogue, of union, a country that understands that our responsibility is not only in Panama, but in the region and the world, receive and accept with open doors all those who reach our country to help us to reach the mission of being a meeting point that our geographic location has granted us. In this era of telecommunications, social networks, and air connectivity that we see today make us more vulnerable to criminal and terrorist groups that are already using these platforms to conduct and develop their illegal activities and disseminate panic in international communities as a result. And this is another message that I would like to highlight. All governments, without exception, must make greater efforts to continue strengthening the interagency coordination between our security forces, both at a national level as well as in bilateral relationships. And for this, it is necessary to have a permanent opportunity for joint work, such as this one in Cartagena, that contribute to develop relations of trust and the operational mechanisms necessary to being more effective in our struggle against local and organized crime. But above all, we must make way for online connectivity, the databases of those who have criminal backgrounds from various countries, and continue investing in professionalizing our customs officers so that we can detect the passing of passengers and cargo that is of high risk to avoid it crossing or entering our countries. There is no doubt that this global economy and connectivity is a great opportunity for developing our countries, but this opportunity also comes with its risks. So we must prepare so that these opportunities have an impact on the quality of life of our people, but be able to stop these risks at the right time is a key challenge that we face, because otherwise organized crime will coordinate and progress faster than the governments themselves. So building these bridges of trust between our security forces is very important. Deep, profound relations that go beyond presidential terms, because these relationships between institutions are what remain when individuals need to leave our positions for one reason or another. So this is how we will be able to establish migratory controls that are appropriate and be equipped with the necessary technology in order to face and counter these networks that traffic humans, drugs, weapons, and other activities that are related to organized crime and terrorism. To all you, I would like to reaffirm that the government of the Republic of Panama is more than willing to coordinate with these efforts being made in regards to security, and we will not allow at any point that our financial system, the canal, our ports, or airports be used by criminal groups, nor groups that threaten peace and international security. This is why we were the first country in the Americas to join the coalition against the Islamic State, to join the struggle against it through this working group against the financing of activities that are linked to organized crime and terrorism, sending a strong and clear message that we will not allow our financial system to be used for illegal activities and much less so for terrorism. It's worth highlighting that our participation in this coalition works together with a law project that will be presented to our Assembly in order to fulfill a series of recommendations formulated by the financial group GAFI in this matter. Notwithstanding, if we truly want to be successful in combating insecurity, we need to work on the base of the pyramid of these delinquent groups, these youth that live and grow in forgotten neighborhoods without opportunities for progressing and without the hope of a better future. I'm convinced that we need to strengthen the presence of the state through our respective national territories, ensuring that all communities, all vulnerable communities in urban and rural areas, both coastal and in the interior, have access to drinking water, basic sanitation, education, and health services that are first level. We need to strengthen the rule of law so that there not be impunity of crimes that are committed, and professionalize our democratic system so that all citizens know that no one is above the law, that men and women that enter into public office understand that politics are to serve others and that governments have the obligation to place states' resources to serve their people, managing public funds with transparency and giving priority to public investments that improves the quality of life of the population. Preaching with their example. Global leaders must prove that states can care for their citizens as good fathers and completely substitute this paternal or motherly figure that many youth living in social risk can find sometimes in criminal bans. Only this way will we be able to break apart the foundation of these criminal groups and rescue our youth that are at risk and teach them that in life there is only one path ahead, that is the right path. Ladies and gentlemen, delegates, after having reached peace in the Americas, the time has come to focus the force of our armed forces in combating insecurity, but we must do so by using information technologies in a strategic and coordinated fashion, but above all, focused on eradicating poverty and inequality, which are the roots to this problem. We know that for development and economic prosperity to exist, there must be security and social peace. So apart from combating organized crime, the other great challenges that the countries of the American continent is to permanently and continuously strengthen our democratic system so that our societies continue being free and our citizens can exercise their human rights and fundamental rights without any kind of fear. These will be the keys so that the countries of Latin America that are part of this dialogue be able to continue developing our commercial relationships on both shores of the Pacific and always go down the path of progress with social peace, security, and prosperity for our present and future generations. I would like to end my speech by inviting you to reflect on the role that the security forces of our countries could play so that additional to guaranteeing citizens' security and protecting our borders, they also be prepared to face the challenges ahead, such as mitigating the effects of climate change, having a coordinated answer for humanitarian and natural disasters, Ebola, and maintaining social peace. Soon will be the summit in Japan, and I still remember when I saw that earthquake that hit Japan, and I was part of the efforts made to evacuate our Panamanians from the brother country of Japan. And at that moment, I was thinking of the military capacity, the structure that in many cases is focused when the political leaders distract the mission for which they were chosen and focus on fighting each other when we think that a situation such as this, and Ebola or an earthquake or a shortage of drinking water, or any other element such as this that happens in a country can change a country in that moment, and it's necessary to work in a joint fashion to be able to face these problems. I would like to congratulate the government of Japan for the next global conference on facing disasters that will be held in Shanghai, and there's no doubt that with the presence of many Asian countries in this meeting in the Dialogue of Cartagena, I would like to close by making a call to political leaders so that we focus always on answering to the problems that affect our populations and not waste our time on problems that are temporary, because we do not know when this full capacity that is used on unnecessary conflicts will be needed to face a problem that affects our population. The last months have shown this. Ebola in Africa, the natural disasters that have affected many countries. There's no doubt that this calls us to reflect on our responsibility as public servants, the planet we live in, the inhabitants of this beautiful planet, and the responsibility that we have as being chosen to direct our countries, to devote all our energies to care for our citizens. I would like to congratulate all those who have traveled from far for this dialogue and tell you that this is a continent at peace. I know that the dialogue in Colombia will end successfully. The conflict that is in our brother country, Venezuela, must be solved in a democratic fashion. The dialogue that we have in Cuba and the United States is very important, and the situation that Argentina has right now, it depends on their legal entities to solve. But in general, America is at peace. It is united, it is committed, it is integrated, and the Summit of the Americas will also give this message. It will bring together all forums, CARICOM, SICAP, UNASUR, ALBA, together with Canada and the United States, too, with this motto, prosperity with equity, the challenge of cooperation in Americas. And I hope that this alliance of the Pacific, together with the countries of Asia that are present, continue getting strengthened, not only due to the added values that this union can offer, the economic values, but also because of the human values it represents of stability, democracy, and stability. Thank you all very much for your participation.